All right, so how many of you are worriers? Some of you didn't put up your hand because you're worried that by admitting that you're a worrier, I'll ask you to do something that will worry you even more. I know that I'm in the presence of my own kind because I tend to be a bit of a worrier as well. So I want to illustrate something as just taught you tonight. So I need a couple of volunteers like Christoph and Leah. Will you help me, please? All right, if you can stand there, Chris, Leah, come here. Okay, so the problem with life, and Jesus talked about this during his great message in Matthew chapter 6, was figuring out what it is we can handle and what we can't handle. You may not believe it or not, but you have been equipped to handle something, but not everything. So for those of you who feel guilty and condemned because you can't handle everything, you were never supposed to. So the problem is not that you feel guilty that you can't handle everything. The problem is that you're trying to handle everything. Because you were never made to handle everything, but you were made to handle something. And Jesus talked about what it was that we were made to handle. Now here's the problem, Chris. If you can take this end of the scroll, there's two, and Leah can take that end, and you can roll out that scroll. I'll show you what the problem is. See, here's the problem. The problem is I can't, if I get a hold of tomorrow, I can't deal with today. And yes, if I go after yesterday, I can't deal with tomorrow and I can't deal with today because I was never supposed to. In fact, Jesus said something in this message that he gave in Matthew chapter 6. He said, don't worry about tomorrow. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that like a good preacher's statement who stands up here and says, hey guys, don't worry about tomorrow. You know, and you think, well, that's fine, but there is such a thing as worry and there is such a thing as tomorrow, and they both bother me. But he said this, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. In other words, each day is enough for you to handle. Now, you might not think that you can handle each day, but just very practically, I want to show you what happens. If I start to wind back in my tomorrow and my yesterday, my past and my future, and I don't make that my concern, but allow it to take care of itself, because remember, the past does not exist except in your head. It doesn't even exist in God's mind, because he said he forgets the past. It doesn't exist. And tomorrow is a fantasy of the imagination. How many of you have ever reached tomorrow? There's not a single person since humanity was on the face of the earth who has ever reached tomorrow, because lo and behold, when that thing called tomorrow that we were worried about, when we arrive there, lo and behold, it's not tomorrow, because tomorrow's the day after that. And when I get there, it's the day after that. But I always arrive at a place called today. But the interesting thing is, when I arrive at the place called today, I can handle that. I have been designed to handle one period of time alone, and that is today. Now, there's another wonderful verse in the Bible that has been special to me for many years. Here's what it says. It says, it's coming up, new every morning. Go on, we can find it. There we go. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed. For his compassions, or in some versions it says his mercies, do not fail, but they are new. How often? Every morning, great is your faithfulness. The promise is of the faithfulness that will bring enough mercies into every day to equip me to handle whatever it is that I will face. Now, the reason we can't face it is because into that today, we try and drag tomorrow. Or into that today, we allow the past, yesterday, to sneak in. And then we find it's all getting too wide, and I'm about to drop it because now I can't handle it. But you see, when we, because of the mercies of God, bring it into today, and today alone, there is sufficient mercies every day to deal with absolutely everything that you will encounter. You have been graced for today. You have been graced for now. The greatest name in the Bible that God was ever given was when he met Moses at the burning bush in the book of the book of Exodus. And in that moment, he said, "This is my name." Moses said, "Who shall I tell them is sending me to deal with today?" He said, "Tell them I am is sending you." You see, God is the I am because he lives in the now. And when you will live in the now and appreciate and understand and accept the mercies that are on your life and not let the past condemn you or the future intimidate you, you will find there is a miracle that's new every morning because of the faithfulness of God, which is the grace that you have been given for every day. Thank you, guys. You're amazing. So, there is one other thing I want to give you. There was a wonderful lady by the name of Corrie ten Boom who, with her father and sister and mother and her household in Amsterdam, back in the Second World War, were hiding Jews from the Germans who had now occupied Holland and who were looking for every Jew they could find in Amsterdam. And Corrie ten Boom and her family hid Jews that were being looked for by the Germans. What it got for them was a train ride. That train ride was to a concentration camp where they, along with the Jews, were incarcerated for the rest of the war. And during that time, her father died, and her sister also died. But Corrie ten Boom went through that whole war in the concentration camp until she was released. And instead of saying, "I hate my past, I can't deal with it," or "I have no future because of what's happening," this is what Corrie ten Boom said. "Worry does not empty tomorrow of its problems. It empties today of its strength." And the reason you don't have strength today is because tomorrow is emptying you of your strength. It's not giving you strength. And you're not emptying tomorrow of its problems by thinking about tomorrow, nor are you emptying the past of its condemnation by dwelling in the past. But when you come into the now, the place where God is most present, and you will be present with that grace that is on your life, the truth is it will not empty today of its strength, but strength will rise in your heart, and you will realize I am more than enough because of the grace that's on my life to take hold of today, and they are new every morning because of the faithfulness of God.